Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, we are in the shop today and we'll be working on the Corvette. Corvette is on the lift from the previous project where we had updated the braking system with a new master cylinder as well as a new brake booster out of a 2009 ZR1. Now, I haven't really driven the car since then because obviously we just bled the brakes yesterday, but so far everything's good to go and I'm already noticing better braking performance just pulling it in and out of the shop the 2 times I've had to do that. But for today's video, what we'll be focusing on is basically the front tow hook. You guys will know that this will actually be the 3rd video on I think it's Phoenix Performance or Phoenix Industries, I'm not really sure. But I installed their tow hook like 6 years ago. Did an update about 3 years ago where I had basically put a reinforcement plate in the bumper, and that plate is basically down here in the bumper. You guys can see that past the flashlight. You see those 2 nuts sticking up. So what we're gonna do today is actually reinforce this yet again. What we're doing is adding a flat piece of plate metal. I got a 1/8 inch thick sheet. What we're gonna do is basically put it from this corner, go up about 2 inches, over and back down to make a little bit of a square. You guys will see a picture here of the LG Motorsports tow hook. I actually installed this on a friend of mine's car a few years ago, Beth, and she's been in the Optima Challenge series for a while now. And she's had no problems with that tow hook. And so we're trying to be prepared for the Indy race. I want to be as prepared as we can, and I want to have a front safe tow hook. And just with a little bit of modifications, we can go ahead and update this one to, I would call, the LG Motorsports standard. Now, if you guys watch that video, we'll have a link to that one up above. They welded the plate on crooked. So when I installed it, it looked like the reinforcement plate on the front of it was actually like off by like 5 degrees. It was pretty bad. The second update is basically, if you guys have paid attention, LG Motorsports actually has a ZL1 Addons swapped to where you can replace their generic front hook with a really nice billet piece, and I actually have one already ordered. And this is the original hook that came with the Phoenix Industries hook. It's very similar to what LG Motorsports sells. And also, this is the new one that we're going to be installing. This is from ZL1 Addons. You guys can see their little logo right there. Now, the thread pitch on this is not the standard LG Motorsports one. This I had to get custom made because ZL1 Addons actually sells a service where they will sell you a custom front tow hook. I think it may have been an extra $10, $20, something like that, over the price of their tow hook. So what we'll be doing is swapping out this really basic, let's call it like that, this really basic tow hook, and kind of upgrading it with this a little bit more of a blingy addition, if that makes sense. And then the third update, you guys will see this little reinforcement piece. This is what my body man made out of a pickup bedside reinforcement plate. And this will basically connect the bottom of the cooler frame rail to the very front of the bumper. Because when we installed that heat exchanger a while ago, I had taken that off. Wasn't sure if it was going to fit. And that will basically go in place of the bottom of the cooling stack. There is that frame down there, and that will run up to the front of the bumper and give us yet another reinforcement piece. Because basically at 100 plus miles an hour, the stock C6 Z06 bumpers like to deform. I'll throw a picture of that here. And to prevent our custom bumper from doing that, we will have that steel rod going from the cooling frame to the front of the bumper, like I said, and that'll go right there. So yeah, so we've got a number of updates today, and unfortunately that required us to remove the bumper. Well, as you guys can see, the bumper is actually off the car, and you guys will remember we already had this front fender off. So it really wasn't that much extra work to get the bumper off. I just had to take the bolts out the top, take the other fender bolts, which are over here on the passenger side. You know, there's these 2 studs right here. And then I basically had to disconnect everything from underneath. So my install will obviously be a little bit different than if you have a stock C6 Z06 bumper. But we have this custom C6 C7 ZR1 bumper. And yeah, so my install, like I said, will be slightly different than yours. But that only took me about 20 minutes to take off. All right, guys, so we got the reinforcement plate from the inside of the bumper off. We got that. We also got the tow hook assembly off of the front of the car. And basically how we're going to do this is we're going to cut a 6.5 inch plate for the internal part. And then we're just going to weld that to the very top of this right here. Yes, I know that I could just go ahead and buy some iron, angle steel, whatever you want to call that. And, you know, have that piece perfect, but I've already welded 2 nuts here, and I don't know what hardware size this is. It's easier for me just to take what we have, cut it, weld it together, and we'll be done. And then the second piece right here, we're going to cut this out, and then what we're going to do is actually cut a little square out where the hook is coming through, and so it'll be something like that, but it'll be inset, and that will be wide enough for us to put 3 bolts in the top here, and also 3 bolts in the top part here. Alright guys, this piece is obviously still smoking and my gloves are quite hot right now, but yeah, that's it for welding on this project. We got our steel plate welded to the back, sides, bottom, and the front, and everything looks good. I might have to take the angle grinder and cut this weld down a little bit. That was kind of my plan from the beginning anyway, just because we want this to sit flush against the bumper. All that welding that's, like that might create a gap, so we might need to sand that down a bit. And then on this one, we are going to grind down the outer weld because that is going to be sitting against the bumper on the inside. So basically how this is going to work, now that we can have the 2 pieces done, the front bumper support will basically sit between these 2 pieces like this. So we will have it sandwiched at the front, as you guys can see here, so that'll be the top piece. And then the bottom of the bumper will be sandwiched between the bottom here and the top of the tow hook. So yeah, that's kind of how this is going to go. We're going to let this cool down and then start grinding on it and clean this up. All right guys, you just saw us cut up and weld up the brackets that we needed to add for this reinforcement. You guys can see we have the top plate inside of the bumper, and we have the vertical piece aligned with this piece outside. So what we're going to do is basically follow this welding line. We're going to go up, maybe an inch, put a bolt there, go up maybe an inch, put a bolt here, and that will get us right in the middle of that reinforcement plate from the top. So this thing will be bolted in from the front, bolted in from the bottom, and I think that should about do it. Now I am going to trim this front piece down a little bit, and the reason we're going to do that, I'm going to basically just lop off a triangular shape here and here, basically outside of these weld marks. And that is basically because I don't want to restrict any airflow going to any of the condensers or coolers up front. If we can lop off a little bit on each corner, A, it'll save a little bit of weight, and B, it'll help keep airflow going through, you know, the bumper into the cooling stack for the supercharger, second heat exchanger for the supercharger, and then the air condenser, and then the radiator. So, all right, guys, you can see we have the bumper foam off the car. We need to trim this down a little bit because our tow hook is sticking out 1/8 of an inch, the plate, and then the bolts that we have on it as well. So you guys can actually see that this part right here has already been kind of cut in from the factory. So all we're going to do is take a flapper wheel on my angle grinder and basically just, you know, hollow out this little square. We'll go down maybe 1/4 inch, maybe 1/2 inch, maybe match it to this depression right here. All right, guys, we got the foam modified. You guys can see where we use the angle grinder. We basically just trim that back. Got a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch hole out for that whole square. It is a little round, but that's okay. We also got the tow hook installed. It's fully been installed, tightened down. You know, so we got 3 bolts from the front, 2 bolts from the bottom. All right, guys, we're jumping ahead a couple hours here, and we have gotten the front bumper back installed. It's not totally done, but all of the hardware on the sides, the top, and over here on the driver's side has been all tightened down. You guys will also notice the driver's side fender is back installed. And like I said, we got this tight. But I just actually finished up doing another modification down here on the bottom. And that was adding these rib nuts. Currently, the setup that we had, you had to put a wrench back there and knock a nut and bolt loose, which is really inconvenient when you're trying to get under the car and get stuff torn apart. All right, guys, so we got the brace that we were talking about. It's a steel rod going from the radiator cradle up to the front of the bumper, and that's going to hold the bumper to the radiator. All right, guys, we've got most of our front under tray under the car. We've made a couple improvements, like we said. Those rib nuts actually worked out really well. I just didn't tighten them super tight, but everything is done over here on the passenger and the middle. The driver's side just still need to work on something. But as you guys can see, we did get the tow hook installed. Now to install this, we did have to trim a little bit of this grill out. You guys will remember we put this in a while ago. And yeah, if you weren't running that grill, you wouldn't have to do any trimming of that. But obviously for the tow hook slide, you need something to slide through there. And yeah, so that screwed in without any major issue. We got this fully tightened. And I forgot that this actually has a Heim joint on it. So if you guys can see, it actually rotates. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's pretty much gonna be it for today's video. I'm really glad with how this turned out. You know, when I ordered this over a year ago, I wasn't sure how this was gonna work. I know I had initially kind of tested it before with the bumper on, but with the new bumper, the new grill, you know, that little grill that we had to trim out, you know, all that stuff, I wasn't sure how this was gonna look, but overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Is this something I'd run full time? Probably not, to be honest. It's probably something I'll only have in for racing. And we definitely plan on doing that a little bit this summer. And so yeah, we've done a lot today. We took the bumper off, we reinforced the bumper frame support. You know, we put that vertical piece on the inside, we put that vertical piece on the top of the tow hook, so now bolted in from the side and the bottom. So that's pretty good. Also, the reinforcement we kind of did down below with putting that piece of steel rod in and changing the mounting system for that bottom plate. That has made it a lot easier to get this car disassembled. I think we've got a couple more videos for the series, and if you guys want to see those videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications. If you guys want to help support the channel, check out all the links down below. I'll try to have a link to the LG Motorsports tow hook, the Phoenix Industries tow hook, maybe the ZL1 Addons. Like I said, it's kind of a combination of all three. It's a Phoenix Industries original tow hook. We modified it to look like the LG Motorsports one. Then we got the thread custom tow hook made. That's the final piece that you guys just saw. We installed that, and then all of the hardware and stuff that we've used. Try to include all the links down there. And also make sure you check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. All the support you guys can give there goes right back into the channel, this racing series and all that. And we do have some new Corvette merch on there. Check that out. And if you guys obviously can't tell, I'm starting to lose my voice and I might sound a little weird because right now hearing me is a little weird. So on that note, I'm going to go rest up. That's going to be it. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.